it away. So we're all the way right at the top of Memches Aleph 48a, new Mishnah. Let's get started. Let's get rolling. So the Mishnah says Shalosh Asherusin. There are three types of Asherus, right? We've been discussing a lot until now. Talking about an Asherah tree, which is a specific tree used for idol worship. So the Mishnah is going to tell us there are three types of Asherus. This continues in the pattern of the Mishnayos before. We've been talking about Shlosha Avanim, there are three types of rocks, there's Shlosha Batim, three types of houses for Avodah Zora. So now we're saying Shlosha Asherah, three types of Asherah. A tree that was planted initially, or from the beginning of it, it was planted for idol worship. It's forbidden until a non-Jew goes and is mevatel it. Gido pisel l'shem avodas kochavim. So number two is that, let's say it was pruned, it was pislo, it was also you trimmed the tree for idol worship, the hechlif, and then it grew more. So no tomash hechlif. So then you take that which it grew more, and Rashi explains, and you burn it just like an asherah. But the main part of the tree, the trunk of the tree, that's fine. Only that which grew afterwards is forbidden. Let's say you had a tree and you put underneath it an idol, and now he took it away. The tree itself is permitted to get benefit from. The fact that there was an idol underneath the tree, that doesn't make the tree itself forbidden to get benefit from. So those are the three types of asherahs. One is a tree made for Avodah Zora. Number two, where it was not made for Avodah Zora, but afterwards it was trimmed and to turn it into an asherah, or that which grows afterwards is forbidden. And number three is where the tree itself was never served, and just an idol was underneath it. So the Gemara says, "Amri devei Rabbi Yanai." Rabbi Yanai said, "V'hu shehivrich vehirkif begufo shel ilan." Sorry, that the case that we're talking about is where he was hivrich. I'm not sure exactly the translation for hivrich. The idea is that you take a branch from the tree and you dig it you stick it into the ground, and then like a new tree grows from that branch that was planted into the ground. Or vehirkiv means that it was grafted, I'm sorry. V'kipu shel ilan, in the growth of the tree, in the main part of the tree. So what it sounds like Rabbi Yanai is saying is that in order for it to make it forbidden, that you have to take that which grows later in order to make it permitted to get benefit from. That's only where you did something as serious as being mabrich, as doing this this process of growing the new sprout from the branch, or if you graft it. But if you did something less than that, and it grew more, and it was serving as an asherah, then it would be fine. It would be permitted. It wouldn't be forbidden to get benefit from it. So Gemara asks, but one second. V'anan gidro pislotan. Our Mishnah says gidro pislo, meaning you're telling me that you have to go as far to the extent of either grafting or being mavrich to make that which grows afterwards be forbidden to get benefit from it. But our Mishnah has a much lower standard. The standard of our Mishnah is only that you have to prune it, trim it. That's it. Which is much less. And over there, it also says no to mashachlet. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
So how could Rabbi Yanai say such a thing? So the Gemara says, "Elaki imar Rabbi Yanai." When was Rabbi Yanai stated? Linim bittul. Rabbi Yanai was not speaking about what the standard has to be to make it forbidden to get benefit from it. Rather, Rabbi Yanai was speaking about bittul, meaning what? The apagav the hibrich vehirkiv begufo shel ilan, even though he had grafted or he was mavrich Again, I'm not sure the exact translation for that. I don't know if someone can help me out, but it means that you stick the branch into the ground to start a new sapling. So even though you did that, when he takes that which it grew more, that's enough. The same, you might have thought to say, hey, that once you were maverick or you grabbed it in the goof of the tree, that's like a new tree, and it's a new tree that's planted for the sake of idol worship, and therefore it should be totally forbidden. The litzar kula, right? It should be totally forbidden. Kamash malot. It comes along Rabbi Yana and tells me that no, bittul is sufficient. It's enough to just take that what you grew afterwards to make it a sufficient bittul. We're holding by like we're on Memchesem and Aleph, and we just started the Gemara. We went through the first back and forth in the Gemara. The Gemara is talking just to go over the Mishnah. The Mishnah said that we're talking about Asherah trees, and there are three types of Asherah trees. The Mishnah delineates for us. Number one is a tree planted for the sake of idol worship. That scenario is totally forbidden until bittul happens. Number two is where it was not planted for the sake of idol worship, but it was trimmed and pruned later to be turned into an idol. So then over there, in order to be mevatel, all you have to do is just take that which grew afterwards. And number three is where an idol was placed under the tree, but the tree itself was not served. And over there, it's totally mutter, it's totally permitted to get benefit from. So we're up to Amar Shmuel. So the Gemara says, Amar Shmuel, Hamishtach ve'le'ilon, someone bows down to a tree, so sosel asura. That its addition, that which it grows later, is forbidden. So we're going to see a little bit more about what Shmuel is talking about soon. But the simple understanding is just that that initially was planted not to be an idol. Therefore, most of it is permitted. The person then later on serves it. So that which grows afterwards is forbidden. So most Rabbi Lazar asks, Gido Pisal Lavos Kochavim Vehechlif Noto Masha Echlif. Our Mishnah says that if he had pruned the tree, or they trimmed the tree for the sake of idol worship, and then it grew more, so then he just has to take that which it grew afterwards. So we make an inference, Gido Pislo in, if he put in work, he gardened it, he trimmed it for the sake of the idol, so then that's when that's when what grows afterwards is forbidden. But if it was not Gido Pislo, Lo Gido Pislo, he not trimmed and pruned it, so lo, then this would not be true. You would not need to take that which it grows afterwards to be mevatel. Rather, the whole thing would be permitted. So again, the simple understanding is Shmuel saying that anytime anybody ever bows down to a tree, that which grows after this incident is going to be forbidden. But in our Mishnah, it seems to be that halacha was only when it was Gido Pisla, not if you just did nothing and just bowed down to it. So Gemara says, Amar l'kol Shmuel will say to you, Hamani Rabbanani. Who is this? Who's the author of this brisa? It's the Rabbanon. Shmuel the Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. Amar Ilan Shetol Sof Avodah also. Who says that tree that was planted and then later on was served is forbidden. We've been referencing this machlokas a lot. This machlokas has come up a lot in the last few plot. This machlokas the Rabbanon Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, that about when a tree was not planted for the sake of idol worship, and then later on it was served, does it become forbidden to get benefit from it or not? So the Rabbanan is saying no, it's totally fine to get benefit from it. The Torah only asked it when it was planted originally for the sake of idol worship. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda says, no, it's forbidden, even when it was later on was served. So Shmuel is defending himself by saying this Mishnah, which is saying Giddo Pislo, that's when that which grows later is forbidden, which sounds like had you not done work on the tree, that which grows later is not forbidden. That's according to the Rabbanon. So the Rabbanon, they say in and of itself, a tree that is planted and later on served is permitted. So therefore it has to be that you put in work to make it fitting for an idol, to make it that which goes afterwards forbidden. But Shmuel, he said, I'm going to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, he holds that if a tree is planted, not for idol worship, and later on served, is forbidden. So here too, it should be forbidden. So Maskif law, Rav Ashi, Mimaid Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda Rabbanim B'Tosefes Pligi. From where do you know the Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda and the Rabbanan are arguing about that which grows afterwards? Maybe that which grows afterwards, according to everybody, is forbidden. And really what they're arguing about is the main part of the tree, is the trunk of the tree. That according to that Shmuel sounds like he's saying that, I'm talking according to Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. So according to him, that which grows afterwards is forbidden. According to Rabban, that which grows after it gets served as an idol is not forbidden. So Gemara is saying that, one second, but maybe really everyone agrees that which grows afterwards, after already was served as an idol, is forbidden. And they're only arguing about the main part of the tree, the trunk of the tree. Does that become forbidden also, even though it was planted originally not for idol worship? Give me 1 second, I just realized I forgot to make breakfast. Second. Okay, so let's come back to the Gemara. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda Savari Karonami also. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda holds that the main part of the tree, the trunk of the tree, is also forbidden. The pasuk says that there are shir trees you should burn with fire, which Rashi explains that asherehem is plural. Dur asherot. So we say that it's plural. One is for a tree that was planted originally for idol worship, and one is for a tree that was planted not for idol worship and later on it was served. Two types of trees. Asherehem, they're asheros, plural, including one that was served later. And it's saying that the Torah is saying that you have to burn it, you have to get rid of it. Rabbanan Savri, Iker Elon Shari. Rabbanan hold that the main part of the tree is permitted. As the pasuk says, that the asheros you should trim them. So Ezu Elon Shegiduo also be Shari. What type of tree is it that which you have to trim off of it is forbidden? Be Shari, but the main part of the tree is permitted. I'll say that this is a tree which is originally planted not for idol worship, and later on it was served. So Rav Ashi is asking on Shmuel, how do you know that the machlokas is about the addition? Maybe that which is added on afterwards is totally fine. It's forbidden according to everybody. Everyone agrees that if you serve a tree and now it becomes an idol, and that which grows afterwards is going to be forbidden. The machlokas only is about that which had grown before. So Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says the whole tree becomes forbidden, whereas the Rabbanan say that no, only that which grows afterwards is forbidden. But therefore that means Shmuel's statement could really be according to everybody, and the Mishnah, Shmuel's statement could really be according to everybody. And what about the Mishnah? See about that. Second. Okay, let's see a little bit further. So the Gemara says, if you're going to say, but we didn't answer this before. I mean, earlier when we were discussing the Machlokas, Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda and the Rabbanon, we said that Rabbi Yossi learned out his reasoning for Elash and Sof Avodah, for the case of where the tree was planted and then later on it was served. We said that he learned it out from Vasherim to Gadeon, from that shear that you have to trim it. So we see from there that he agrees that the main part of the tree is permitted. It's just that the addition is forbidden because he learns it out. Earlier we say he learns it out from Vasherim to Gadeon. It sounds like that you keep the ikar of the tree, you keep the main part of the tree, you just get rid of that which grows later. So ipuk. So I'll flip it. I'll flip Rabbanan the Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, the Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda the Rabbanan. I'll flip the Rabbanan to Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda the Rabbanan. What does this mean? So Rashi explains is that we never actually see explicitly Rabbi Yossi said that he learns that his reasoning from Asherim to Gadeon. The Gemara earlier said that he learns it from Asherim to Gadeon, but we never see Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda himself say that. And really the opposite. Really, when Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda is talking the Brisa, he uses the pasuk of Asherim Tisser from Be'esh. So we had a question on that, and there we said that, don't we need Asherim Tisser from Be'esh for the case where it was planted originally to be an idol? Therefore we said, he's learning out from Asherim to Gadeon. We'll say that no, we'll flip it. The Rabbi Yossi really is learning about Asherim Tisser from Be'esh, which that sounds like that's Lashon Rabbim, that's plural. Therefore, that's coming for a tree that was planted to be an idol and also a tree that was later on served, because it's plural. Whereas the Rabbanon, so where did they learn out their heter from? They learned it out from Asherim to Gadeon. What does Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda say? Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says that that's needed for the halacha we said earlier, that when it comes to the conquest of Eretz Yisrael, that first you trim the trees, the Asher trees, before the conquest, and then you destroy it afterwards. Whereas Rabban learned it out from Rabbi Tabzin, like we said before. But the main idea over here, what the Gemara is saying, is that the Ipo, when he needs to flip it, is that the understanding that we had earlier was that the Rabbanon learned out from Vasherim Tisser from Be'esh, is that, listen, the Torah says Vasherim Tisser from Be'esh, and you can only use that for one tree. So it's logical to use that only for the tree that was planted originally to be an idol. Therefore, you don't have any source for a tree that was served later. Whereas Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda learned out from Vasherim to Gadeon that there's another type of tree that you only have to trim, and that means something that's served later. So now we're flipping it. We're saying that Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, he really learns out his halacha from Vasherim Tisser from Be'esh, that's plural. Whereas the Rabbanon learn out their halacha from Vasherim to Gadeon. They learn out their halacha and they say that, look, the Torah says Vasherim to Gadeon. So what's that talking about? It makes sense to say that's talking about a case where it's planted not to be an idol, and later on it was served. That's when the Torah says that you don't have to burn it, rather you just have to take the idol later and destroy that. So the Gemara says, "In Cain, if so, Giddo Pislo Man Ketanila." That which the Mishnah says of Giddo Pislo is forbidden. Who taught it? Lo Rabbanan, lo Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. It's not the Rabbanan, and now Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. Rabbanan, if it's Rabbanan, below Giddo Pislo Nami Tosef Asura. Well, according to what we're saying now, if a tree is served, that which grows afterwards, it's forbidden according to Rabbanan no matter what. Even without Giddo Pislo, even without pruning and trimming it. And if Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, Ikri Lanami Aser. So Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, then it's even worse, because the main part of the tree is also forbidden. So according to Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, the whole tree becomes forbidden if it's served later. So based on this, it's actually very nice. You could come up with another machlokas that would make Shmuel according to everybody. But then the mission is not according to anybody, because no one requires the standard of Giddo Pislo to forbid that which grows later. According to everybody, all that's necessary should just be if it's just served, then by definition, that which grows afterwards is going to be forbidden. So the Gemara says, if you want, you can say it's Rabbanan. If you want, you can say it's Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. that key Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda below Gido Pislo Iker Elon also the stomach. When did Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda say that the trimming and the pruning, the main part, the main tree is also forbidden? That's only bistama. That's only when nothing else happens. Abel Gido Pislo, but had he trimmed it and pruned it, Goli Adaite, he's revealing his knowledge, revealing what he wants. That which goes afterwards that he's happy with. With the main part of the tree, he's not happy. Meaning, we're saying that really, yes, according to Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, the whole tree becomes forbidden, even if it was initially planted not for the sake of idol worship. But still, it makes sense over here that this could be Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, because when a person goes and he trims and prunes the tree, that shows that he's somebody that he specifically wants that grows afterwards for the idols and not what was before. So that's why the halacha will be different. Or if you want, you say it's the Rabbanon, Gidro Pislo Tzrichale. That we need to state the case of Gidro Pislo. I might have thought to say, Kivan the Ovale Maisa Begufe Iker Ilanami Letzar. I would have thought since a Maisa, since an action was done with the actual goof of the tree, the whole tree should be forbidden. That doesn't happen. Meaning, it's very nice that the Rabbanon say, when you didn't do anything to the tree, that the main part of the tree is permitted, and that which goes after the idol worship occurred, that would be forbidden. That makes a lot of sense. That's fine. But I would have thought that when a person actually goes and tampers with a tree, and they actually play around with the tree, and they actually do work on the tree for the sake of idol worship, I would have thought that that's different. So Kamash Malan, then no, that's not any different. It's exactly the same, and therefore, according to Rabbanan, only that which grows later, whether it was non-Giddo Pislo or it was just Giddo Pislo, is going to be forbidden. So we have, basically, at the end, we have two different versions of potentially the Machlokas, Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda and the Rabbanon. Way one would be to say that everyone agrees the main part of the tree is permitted. And the Machlokas is about that which goes after was served as an idol. Is that forbidden or not? Way two, which Rav Ashi wants to allege, is that everyone agrees that which goes after that it was served is forbidden. The only machlokas is about the main part of the tree, the acre of the tree, the trunk of the tree. So Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda holds that's also forbidden. The one say no, that's permitted. Since it was planted not to be an idol originally, that's fine. That's permitted. Okay. The Gemara goes further. The Gemara says, new Mishnah. Ezo Asherah, what's considered an Asherah? What's an Asherah tree? Anything where under it is an idol. Any tree which is served. Tanakama sounds like he's saying the tree itself is not served, there's just an idol underneath the tree. Whereas Rav Shimon is saying no, that anyone who serves the tree itself. But if they just serve an idol that's underneath the tree itself is permitted. That doesn't make the tree, that doesn't cause problems for the tree. So Umaisa b'Tzidon, there's a story in Tzidon. Be'ilon shal you ovdin so umatzu tahtav gal. There's a tree that they served it, and they found underneath this pile. Underneath the tree was this pile. Amar Reb Shimon said, "Banku as a gal, check thoroughly the pile. Hazeh, this pile. Ubaku umatzu botzor. They checked it, and they found in it an image. They found in it an idol." He said to them, since they're serving this idol, this image, natir lahem esa ilan. Or natir lachem esa ilan, that this tree is permitted to you. Since it comes out that they were only bowing down to that which was underneath the tree, so then the tree itself is permitted because the tree itself was not served, that which is like Rav Shimon's opinion. Shimon's saying that it is only forbidden when they serve the actual tree. If they serve something that's underneath the tree, that doesn't make the tree forbidden. So, as opposed to Tanakama, who says that even if an idol is underneath it, the Gemara says Ezu Asherah. The Mishnah is saying, "Oh, what's an Asherah? Let's talk about it. What's an Asherah? Gemara asks, but Va'anan Shalosh Asheros Tanan. We already before had taught that there are three types of Asheros. So why is the Mishnah over here saying, oh, what's an Asherah? We already discussed it. And we said there are three different types. So Gemara said, this is what the Mishnah needs to say. Shtayim, if it's two trees, divrei hakol, everyone agrees to. The achas machlokas Rav Shimon Rabban, and one is a machlokas between Rav Shimon and the Rabbanon. Ezu hi ashera shenechlu gubar Rav Shimon Chamim. What is this asher tree that the Rav Shimon and the Chacham argued about? Kol sheish tachteo vos kochavim. I'm sorry. Did I skip? Anything that which is underneath an idol. Shimon says no, anything where they actually serve it. Meaning, this Mishnah is a continuation of the Mishnah previous. The Mishnah before told us that there are three types of Asherah trees, and so the number one was where it was planted originally to be an idol. Over there, everyone agrees it's forbidden. Tree number two was where it was not planted originally to be an idol, but later on work was done on it. It was trimmed to be for the sake of idol worship. Over there, everyone agrees only that which grows afterwards is forbidden. But case three is where the machlokas is. Case three, which is where an idol was placed under it, and then it was taken. So the Mishnah said that this is permitted. So our Mishnah is discussing that what is this third type of Asherah? So the Rabbanan say that as long as there's an idol underneath it. Shimon says no. Only where the actual tree is being served. But if not, then like the Mishnah before had said, if there's just an idol underneath it, even if they actually serve it, it's going to be permitted. So in the Rabbanan, they have to have not served it for it to be permitted. Okay. The Gemara goes further. It says, "Ezui Asherah Stam." What's like an identifiable sign of an Asherah? How do I see if something's an Asherah? So Amar Rav said, "Kol shekomer and yoshin tachtel." Any tree where there are priests who sit underneath it, vein tomim perosel. They don't taste its fruits. They don't eat any. They don't get any benefit from the tree. So that's a sign that it's really an idol tree, an Asherah tree. So that we can assume for sure that they're serving it. They're not eating the fruits. Also, even if they say that these dates are going to be for Bein Nitzrafi. Bein Nitzrafi was a name of a certain place of worship, or it's an idol. So even if he just says that these dates are for that, also it's forbidden. The Rami Bei Shechra is going to use it to make beer. V'shasi levi yomedim, he's going to drink it. He's going to drink it on their holidays, on the idolatrous holidays. Amar Amimar said, Amar li sabe de Pompadisa Shmuel. The elders of Pompadisa told me the halacha is like Shmuel. And the halacha is that not just where there are priests who are not eating the fruits, but even if just someone says that, let's use these dates for Bein Nitzrafi, that's forbidden. That would be an Asherah tree, because that could be assumed that they're used to make beer for their holidays. That's the halacha. Okay, Mem Chesam Beis 48b. Mishnah. Lo yeshiv b'tzilot. You cannot sit in the shade of that Asherah tree. V'm yashav tar. If he sits in it, he is tar. He's pure. The Rabbanan were gozer that if a person has contact with an Asherah tree, then he becomes impure. So we're saying if he sits in the shade, even though he's not allowed to, but b'diavad he's still tar. V'lo yavo tachta. V'lo yavo tachta. He should not pass underneath the tree. V'm avar tameh. If he passes underneath it, he's impure. Now, based on this halacha, the first halacha of the Mishnah is a little confusing, because the Mishnah said that if you sit in the shade of the tree, then you're pure. But over here we're saying if you just pass underneath it, you're impure. So Rashi explains, and we see more in the Gemara, that when we're talking about the shade, it doesn't mean underneath the actual branches of the tree. It means in the shadow of the tree, farther out, which is not actually underneath the tree. And therefore, over there, that's where it's the Yoshav Tar. If it was actually underneath the tree, like you pass underneath it, then you would be impure. It was stealing from the public, meaning that its branches were going over into Rosh Hashanah. They were outgrowing, and it was going into public area, public domain. So over there, he passed underneath the tar. He's pure. The Rabbanon that were not gozer. If it was a Tumah D'Oraisa, if it was a Tumah from the Torah, so then it wouldn't make a difference where you were. But since it's a rabbinic Tumah, the Rabbanon said that if it's stealing from if this is in a public domain, then we're not going to say that if you pass underneath it, that you're going to be impure. It's the fault of the Asherah, and therefore you remain pure. Sigmara says, Lo Yeshe B'tzila Pshita. The Mishnah says you can't sit in the shade. This is obvious. Of course you can't sit in the shade. You gain benefit from an idol. You're not allowed to get benefit from an idol. Of course you can't sit in the shade. So the Gemara says, what it's needed for is a case of tzel tzila. Needed for is the shade of the shade. Meaning what? Rashi explains that in the early morning and the evening, where the shade is much longer for everything, that shadow. The shadow is much longer for everything. So over here, if you sit in the part which is extended past the tree, which is more than just the shadow of the tree that reflects down, but that which goes longer in the morning and the evening. So that if you sit over there, that's what we're saying that you're going to that's what the Mishnah is telling me on Chiddush, that's forbidden to be even over there. So the Gemara says, Mechlal, the B'tzel Kamasam, Yishuv tell me this implies that if you sit in the regular shadow, the shadow that doesn't extend further, there's the shadow of its height, and you sit down, you're going to be impure. So the Rashi explains that we're asking this B'tmi, we're asking this like builder. Is that possibly true? You're going to be impure if you just sit under the regular shadow, but you're not underneath the tree, not underneath the branches. So why would it? Does that really mean that you're going to be forbidden? It's going to be forbidden. I mean, you're going to be impure if you say it's forbidden. What? Is it really be impure if you sit underneath it? So Gemara says, look, even if you're in the shadow of just the regular height of the tree, also if you sit your Torah. This is teaching me that even for tzel tzila, you're not allowed to sit l'chachila. I would have thought l'chachila, tzel tzila doesn't count for anything. You could sit in this extended shadow. Kamashmon, that's forbidden, and you need to make a bracha, you need to make a blessing. I'm sorry that if you need to kamashmon, that even to go into the shadow of the tree, it's forbidden. But really always you're going to be pure if you're in the shadow. So the Gemara says, those who teach on the Seder, Miyashav Tar. But Miyashav Tar, it says if you sit underneath it, you're pure Pshita. This is obvious, of course. Why would we say you're impure? You're just sitting in the shade. It's needed for the case where you're in the shadow of its height. This implies that so Gemara asks that this implies that for the shadow of the shadow, meaning the extended shadow, even l'chachila could say. Gemara says, no. This teaches us that even for the shadow of its height, if you sit down, you're tar. Meaning it's not coming to infer that for tzel tzila, for the shadow, the extended the shadow of l'chachila could be sitting there, but rather it's just coming to teach me that tzel kamasa, even over there, b'di'evet, if you sat there, you're tar. You're not allowed to sit there. You can't, as long as you provided that you don't sit actually underneath the tree, and you're just in the shadow, even if it's in the real shadow, the shadow of its height, you're still if you sat there, you are pure. Okay. The Gemara goes further. The Gemara says, this is the next part of the mission. He says you shouldn't pass underneath it. But if you did pass underneath it, and if you did pass underneath it, you were actually underneath the branches, you're impure. My timer, what's the reason for this? It's impossible. It's impossible that there's not something that's just brought to idols underneath it. Of course, there's going to be some sort of idol underneath the tree. Mani, who is this? Rabbi Yossi ben Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. This is Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, the Tanya. It's starting Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Omer. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira said, "Menayin the takrovas of Oskol Chovim to Matam Ba'oel." From where do we know that something which isn't used to be brought to an idol is causes impurity in the oil in a tent? And they bow down to Baal Pa'or, which is a certain idol, and they ate zivchei mesim. Ma mace mitami bib oel, just like a mace, a dead person, causes impurity in an oil, in a tent, in a canopy. Aptak roves avodas kochav mitambo. So that's why anything which is brought for idol worship is going to be cause impurity in a tent. Meaning, when we're saying a tent is not literal. It means that anytime that you're underneath some sort of canopy together with that thing. So over here too, when you're underneath the tree, underneath the branch of the tree, the canopy of the tree with an idol, and we're saying for sure there's going to be some sort of idol there, so that would cause you impurity. Just like we make this drasha, just like by a dead body, like let's say there was a dead body underneath the tree and you went underneath the tree, that would cause oil, that would cause the canopy over the two of you, and that would cause tuma, it would cause the person who passed underneath it to become tamei. So too by Avodah Zora, it's the same thing. Now, this pasuk is really not a real drasha. If there was a real drasha, like we said before, it doesn't make sense to say that, let's say it was gozelas as rabbim, if it was in a public domain, to say that over there you wouldn't be impure. So it says you're impure. So by Rashi earlier says that this pasuk is just an asmachta. It's not a real drasha. It means an asmachta is when you have something hinted to in the Torah, which gives more of a support for the Rabbanan to make exera. It's not a real drasha. It's not a real halacha from the Torah. Okay. So the Gemara goes further. I said, gozelas as a rabbin. If it was stealing from the rabbin, if it was in a public domain, the canopy of the tree was growing out farther than it should be, and it was in a public domain, but you pass underneath it, then he's pure. They had a shayla, ovar or over. Is it ovar or is it over? Is it he passed or he passes? Meaning, what's the difference? Meaning, is it that you're not allowed to go underneath it, but if you passed, you're pure? Or is it that he could pass, he's allowed to? If he would consult with us and ask us, can I go underneath this, which is in Rosh Hashanah, we would say, totally fine. That shouldn't be Rosh Hashanah, that shouldn't be in the public domain, and it's totally fine if you go underneath it. So, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Elazar Mishmei de Chizki Amar over, Rabbi Yochanan Amar Avar. So Rabbi Yitzchak bar Elazar, the name of Chizki, he says over, you can even go lechachila. Whereas Rabbi Yochanan says no, lechachila you shouldn't, and it's just if you pass underneath it, you're not impure. Lo pligi. The Gemara says they're not arguing. One is where there is another way to go. I mean, when do we say that you and you shouldn't? If you have a choice, you consult with us. We would say not to go. That's if there's another road. So take the other road. If there's another road, take that road. If there's no other road except for this one, then we say that even l'chachila could go underneath it when it's gozelas as a rabbin. Amarle Rav Sheshes l'shamei. Rav Sheshes said to his shamis, to his servant, when you reach there, I mean, when you reach the place of the Asherah, which is in Rosh Hashanah, Arhiteni. So run, go fast. Go get out of there quickly. The Gemara asks, so, hey Chidami, what's the case? If there's no other road, if there's no other way to go to his destination, why does he need to run? It should be totally permitted. There's nowhere else to go. If there's another derech, if he's saying go quickly, but why does it help anything? You shouldn't go. You shouldn't be going at all. You shouldn't be going, but going quickly. You shouldn't be going at all. So what's going on? What's the case? The Gemara says, really, there is no other path. And really, it is permitted. So you might ask, okay, fine. So there's no other path that is permitted, then why does he need to run? So the Gemara says that no, is that Adam Choshev Shani, a distinguished person. That's different. Someone who's distinguished, he's a tzaddik, so therefore, even though Me'ikra Din, based on the letter of the law, really permitted for him, or permitted to walk leisurely, go underneath this tree which nourishes the rabbin. For a distinguished person, it's not so nice, and therefore you should, and therefore that's why he told his Shabbos, that's why he told his servant to run. Okay, but again, what comes out is that if there's no other way to go, you could go l'chachila, and if you can't, there is another way to go. Then only b'diavad if you went anyways, but he's still pure. Okay, let's see the Mishnah. New Mishnah. Zorin tachtel yirakos b'mosek shamet. Avalo b'mosek chama. So this Mishnah came up earlier. We saw this Mishnah previously. And the Mishnah tells us that a shira tree, you could plant vegetables underneath it during the mosek shamet, during the winter, during the rainy season. Avalo b'mosek chama, but not during the summer. You're not allowed to get benefit from an ashera tree. So if I plant vegetables underneath the ashera tree, is that gain benefit or not? So Tanakama is saying is that if you plant during the winter, that's not gaining benefit. That's bad for it. And therefore it's fine. But during the summer, then it's forbidden, because during the summer the ashera tree helps. The ashera tree blocks the sun, it gives shade, and that's beneficial for the vegetables. But during the winter, it blocks the sun, and during the winter it needs that sun. So during the Yomosek Shamim, then it's fine. During the Yomosek Chama, then it's problematic. The chazirim, which is a type of plant.
Lettuce.
Lettuce.
Lettuce. Yeah.
Lettuce. Okay, well, I guess what I would say that Pesach is we do.
Was there any consideration of any of the trees insignias? Evergreen, if it's an evergreen, it grows all the time.
That's true. Right. So then it probably would be forbidden. Yeah. We're right. We're really talking about vegetables. Vegetables, you plant them, you get rid of them. That's it. You have to replant them. You want them to grow again. Lettuce, lobi mosach chama, lobi mosach sham. Doesn't make a difference. Neither nor during the summer or during the winter. Either way, the shade is beneficial for it. That's for chazeres. Rabbi Yossi says, "Aflo yirakos mosek shamim." Even vegetables during the winter should not be planted. Because the foliage, the leaves fall onto it, and they decompose, and they're good fertilizer for the vegetables. So therefore, it is getting benefit even during the winter from the ashera tree. So the Gemara says, "L'mei mord Rabbi Yossi savar zevzeh gorim aser, Rabban Amri zevzeh gorim motor." This machlokas Rabbi Yossi and Rabban, does this mean to say this is show us that Rabbi Yossi holds zevzeh gorim, if two things cause something forbidden and something permitted, cause something together, it's forbidden. The Rabban say that if two things cause something, it's permitted. Over here you have two things: the ground is causing the vegetables to grow, and that's totally fine, that's permitted, and the asher is also helping the vegetables grow because of the leaves. So it sounds like their argument is zevzeh gorim, when two things that cause something together, does that make it forbidden or not? So is that what's going on? But we already saw the opposite of this. I saw the Mishnah. That when it comes to Avodah Zora, middle Avodah Zora, Rabbi Yossi says you grind it up, you throw it into the wind, you throw it into the ocean. It becomes fertilizer. It says nothing could be attached to your hand, anything at all, from the chayrim, meaning from the idols. So, Kasha Drabanan, Kasha Rabbi Yossi. This seems to be a stira from the Rabbanan onto the Rabbanan, a stira from Rabbi Yossi onto Rabbi Yossi, meaning that Rabbi Yossi is saying that you could grind up that Avodah Zora, and we don't care about the fact that it might be fertilizing, because it's zevzeh gorim and it's permitted. Whereas Rabban seems to be saying, no, if the idol is going to help out and be good fertilizer for these fields, who are going to get blown away to, then it's totally forbidden, because that seems to show that they hold zevzeh gorim as also. That since the idol is going to assist in the growth of the vegetables, that's forbidden. So it seems to be a stira. Over here, Rabbi Yossi is saying that I'm sorry, Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbanan are saying, it's fine. Even though the foliage falls on it, it's okay. It's totally fine because it's zevzeh gorim. Over there, the saying Zev Zegorim is forbidden, and so too over here, Rabbi Yossi is being more stringent, and he's saying, "Oh, the foliage falls on it. Zev Zegorim is also." Over there, we see that he doesn't care about the fact it might be fertilizer, so it's a stira. So the Gemara says, "Bishlam Rabbi Yossi ad Rabbi Yossi lo kasha." The stira, the contradiction between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yossi is not a question. Hazam de ka'azali ibud matir. Hachad lo ka'azali ibud also. Over there, where he's getting rid of it, he's throwing it out, and he permits it. Here, it's not going. It's not azal ibud. Then it's, he would say it's forbidden, meaning that over there he's trying to get rid of it. He's trying to throw it out. It's already batal from being an idol. So it's not any different than any idol that breaks by itself, and therefore it's not forbidden. And even with the Rabbanan, it's not forbidden because of the gzera, because of a decree. But here it's lo asali, but over here it's dark of the cap. This is the normal way of the tree, and an idol doesn't come batal when it's directly lost, like we said earlier. It's the normal way of its growing the normal natural cycle doesn't come batal. So therefore it's prohibited to get benefit from it. And Zev Zegorim is forbidden. I mean, Rabbi Yossi really holds that Zev Zegorim is aser. And just over there where he's getting rid of the idol, then over there he says it's fine. I'm sorry, Ella Durabanan Kasha. But the Rabbanan, that's a stira. So Gemara says, Ipach, I'll flip it around. That really we have the opinions wrong. Really, Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, he's the one who said that you could plant it even during the winter. Whereas the Rabbanan say, no, you can't plant it ever. Really, we have the sheet is the wrong way. Or you could say that, no, really low table. Don't flip it around. And really, we can answer both ways. Rabbi Yossi, Kedeshon. The stira between Rabbi Yossi, the contradiction between Rabbi Yossi is like we just answered. That in essence, Rabbi Yossi holds that Zegorim is forbidden. And just over there, by the case where you're throwing the ground of Avodah Zora onto the wind, it's fine because you're totally being mavatal it. Rabbanon Kid Amar Amari Braid Rav Kahana. That's like Amari Braid Rav Kahana, Mash Mashpiach Ba'or Pogim Babasa. That which the hide goes up in value, that causes the meat to go down in value. That which it gets benefit, that which it goes up in value, and that which it's assisted based on the Neviah, based on the foliage, the shade equally is detrimental to it. So therefore, very nice that we agree to you and we say that, it grew, the fact that there's foliage on it that helped. The fact that there's a shade that took away any sort of benefit that the Neviah helped. So this is just like Ramari Braid Rav Kahana's statement. He was talking about some sort of holy animal that had a blemish, and we were saying that if you want to take off the hide, so then that's potentially problematic because commensurate to that which the leather goes up in value, the meat goes down in value. So too we're supplying that here also and saying that which the shade helps. I'm sorry, that which the Neviah helps, the shade is equally detrimental to it, and therefore that's what Rabbanan say is totally fine. Okay, Yashika.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.